Hey. We're talking about wolves. What's your favorite wolf? What's your favorite album with a wolf? What's your favorite jacket with a wolf on it? A lot of wolves in punk. Hey, cheers.
I think in general there's a lot of wolves in punk.
A lot of wolves in punk. Not necessarily on album sleeves. Exactly. Or snakes as well, I think. Hey, Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in. 2025 episode, what is it? 100. Cheers.
Cheers.
What's everyone drinking?
Wild turkey.
Wild turkey.
A beer I can never pronounce. It's Polish.
I like the beer.
Okay beer.
Okay.
Polish.
Nice.
Good.
Does anyone know it's the year of the snake this year in the sort of Chinese way? Anybody have a record with a snake on it?
Are we doing it one at a time or all at the same
time?
Well,
let's hold our snakes up in unison. There you go.
I thought about doing the Turbo Negro. I'm glad you beat me to it.
Look at that. We all picked different things. This is like a bonus round.
We're not really going to get into them. Whoa, there you go. Hank on hell there.
Nice. The winner is Jordan
with his
Year of the Snake.
I thought Gas Stunk was going to be too much of a gimme.
Yeah, it's more skull than snake, isn't it? As well. It was either this. Hey, it was either this or White Snake. Come and get it.
Pretty much the same thing.
Phrasing? What do you mean phrasing? Hey, hi Daniel. All right, let me do the old. Contrary to to things I've been hearing, this show will continue after episode 100. This isn't the last episode. There will be more, so stay tuned.
There was a nasty rumor.
That's a nasty
Who started
rumor.
that rumor?
Evil rumors. The wolves have been chatting.
They put something in our drinks.
The wolves in the chat room. The chat room have been chatting. All right, let's do the old like and subscribe, because there will be more to like and to subscribe to, henceforth and herein.
I heard Japanese sirens. That's cool.
That's a Japanese. That is a genuine Japanese siren. It's not a sound effect. There we go. All right. For those new to the show, what we're going to do is we've each got like 5 great records. We're going to have a great time chatting about. Here we go. That's true. Divine Horseman.
That's funny. I actually looked. I have a Divine Horseman LP that I checked. No snakes.
No snake.
None of the Flesh Eater stuff. None of the Gun Club that I had it.
Yeah. Snakes are not easy to find. Easy to find. We've got 20 records, 5 each. We're going to have a great time talking about. I'm excited for everyone's picks. It's the beginning of the year. And I don't have anything from this year yet, but we might have some things from the end of 2024. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Year's only 3 days old, Mike.
Yes, it is. It's a wee bit early to have any 2025 record. Has anything been released yet in 2025? Not yet. Probably not.
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I got my hands on.
2024s, but
Probably not. All right, I'm going to start off in the city of Pittsburgh.
I like Pittsburgh.
I'd like to go. I'd like to go someday.
Skullfest, baby.
Yeah, Skullfest. Lots of great punk. This is some great punk from Pittsburgh. Everybody has to do a list these days. It's almost compulsory. If you like music, you have to make a best of the year. I had like 3 different ones. This one probably would have made a list if I'd have got it sooner. I got it after I've made a list. Great record out of Pittsburgh. Drunken Sailor Records. Talking about the Snarling Dogs.
Oh, nice.
Out of Pittsburgh. Drunken Sailor Records. Man, if you like this kind, okay, this sounds like the perfect blend of old school, snotty US hardcore meets 90s garage punk with American punk. It's a very American sounding record to me. There's no British punk in here at all. It's very American. It's New York. It's the Midwest. It's Pittsburgh. It's Detroit. very kind of very American sound, very grimy. This record is sleazy. It's very like sleazy rock and roll record. Bit of Stooges in there, nice. Bit of Dead Boys, bit of Zero Boys, all the good stuff. Great songs, raw production, ripping guitar. I had to look this guy up actually because like fuck, I really like the guitar playing in this band, and it's the guy who's in the White Stains and No Time, and also Concealed Blade. Nick, his name is Nick from the White Stains, is the guitar player in this band. Nice. And tasty.
So it's kind of like you're describing Annihilation Time.
Oh, it's not quite as like 70s rock as that. Yeah, but maybe they will kind of morph more into that style as they go along. I think this is their first record. But yeah, great record. High energy. Bit of Stooges in there too. They mix things up. There's a couple of slower songs. But yeah, this is a great... Actually, when I thought this, I immediately thought this is a Jim Martin record, actually.
I've seen it, but I have not heard it yet.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I will be checking it out. I already took my note.
I want to give like a quick shout out to Drunken Sailor. I think we often talk about a lot of certain labels. Like I don't hear myself saying Drunken Sailor much when I'm talking about records. So, but Drunken Sailor Records, they put out a lot of great records.
They do.
And kind of people maybe don't mention them as much as they should do. Like Gun, Bloodstains, Poison Ruin, Chain Whip, Dark Thoughts, Liquids, Generation Suicide, tons of great stuff.
Junk Mums.
It's a variety on the label too, which I think is really cool.
Yes. And Stiff Richards, like great Australian band, he's done tons of great stuff. I think a lot of it is kind of like the European version of like American releases, though. He does a lot of that too, like the Gun and the Bloodstains. He did like European pressings, right, of the US, which is great for people in Europe.
I had the Bloodstains on that because it was so hard to get over here.
Wow.
Yeah, I bought the Drunken Sailor one too.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's 3.
Well, there you go. If you like American punk, if you like rock and roll, if you like snotty, if you like snotty US hardcore,
I love snotty US hardcore.
Snarling
the Snarling Dogs,
not Snarling Snakes,
not Snarling Snakes, Snarling Dogs, Snarling Dogs.
Yeah, when's the year of the dog, Mike?
Oh, I don't know. What I'll do, I'll put this in the pile from the year of the dog.
Somebody go through their fucked up records and try to find it.
Right. What was it last year? I think it was it the Rat last year? I don't remember. Anyway, enough about the calendar. Punk rock, Snarling Dogs.
Right on.
Check them out. Great band. Great beer drink. Great music. Rock and roll. Very. I don't know. It makes me. It's very sleazy. I imagine like being like in a sort of dive bar in in some Pittsburgh suburb. And this comes on.
That's really easy to do.
Okay. And this comes on the jukebox. Some biker dude with tattoos goes over to the jukebox and
gotta go to the rock room, man. Polish Hill.
I'd love to go.
Watch out when the Drunken Sailor comes in that dive bar.
Yeah,
exactly. All right.
Snake.
that's my first pick. Is the Snarling Dogs. There you go. All right, Jim. What's your first?
All right, this is a band from Los Angeles area. They had a few tapes out, 21 or 22, and somebody over in Europe pressed it. And it's what I'm hearing. It's I'm listening. It's like an LA band, and from the looks of it, you'd think they were trying to be like Disclose.
Oh,
Pot Overdose. You ever hear this?
No.
I think this is Blazing Eye, trying to do Japanese hardcore.
Okay,
that's my theory. I can't prove that, but you listen to it, sounds like I love Blazing Eye. Blazing Eye rules.
Yeah, great.
But this is from that, and I don't know if you're familiar with the LA scene, that Boyle Heights scene, and 1753 recordings. All the they're like hyper driving LA local bands. Lots of LA local bands, lots of great sounds like Torture and Dominios and Purgatorio. some Flesh Trade. Have you heard Flesh Trade? Like, there's a lot of good stuff coming out of that neighborhood. There's I've seen some shows in the billiard hall there, First Street Billiards. There's a really excellent scene. It's like, to me, it's the modern LA scene, you know, where the new local sounds are coming from. But when I first glanced this, I was like, oh man, it's gonna sound like this close. I was like, because it just looks that way. You know, I was like, you know, it's like this. But a friend of mine out there sent me some tracks to listen to, and the guitar just cascades. It really has its own sound. So it's not just like a type of a genre worship. But that, my theory is, listening to it a bunch of times, I was like, that's got to be Blazing Eye. It was just too close. That whole scene there, you know, how do you say, they were described as trying to do a Japanese sound, but to me, they put their own stink on it and made it their own. And if you can, I think this is on a Belgian label, Gannett record.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long running label. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you could find this or even listen to it online, check it out, because, you know, at first looks, you think it's going to be like disclosed, fuzzed out, you know.
Totally think it's going to be like that.
But, yeah, totally. But man, there's my favorite track on here is Bad Day. And it's like the guitar is just, it feels like it's just kind of flowing down. Like, it's like, wow, what are they doing? This is not what I thought it was.
Wow.
And this is my first pick, and I'm sticking to it. Pot Overdose, Resin.
Nice. They've got
Check it out, man. You will not.
They've got the doom cloud, I call it.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, like Same Mind or whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
yes,
the Same Mind guy. Yeah, Life Lock.
yes, that's it. Yes, yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, that's part of this whole, I guess, how you say, with the internet being around for like the last 30 years or so, I think there's that worldwide hardcore scene sound that's become homogenized. And how do you identify where you're from now? You know, you're able to. I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing, but you know, it's kind of mashed up now. People have access to everything, you know. So, you know, so if I made a demo tape tomorrow and did something, you know, it'd be like, oh, this sounds like this, sounds like that. But this is striking out on its own. I was very deceptive look to it, and I was like, man, this it'll hit you over the top of the head. It really will.
Nice.
Resin, Pot Overdose. Find it.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Nice.
I have not had a pot overdose.
Yeah, neither have I.
I don't think that's possible.
or you have a manager going, I think you should go home now. We could talk tomorrow.
All right. First pick. So, you know, Mike is talking about, you know, end of the year. You know, everybody wants to talk about the favorite records. Well, this record I just got in the mail last week. And so I've been kind of trying to digest this record, because the first time I put it, there was such a worship of one given band on it that kind of like threw me off a little bit until I could kind of dive into it on a few more listens. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about. We're talking about Lifeless.
Oh,
there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
I don't have mine yet.
There it is.
So, Forces of Nature's Transformation is the name of the record. They did everything. The band did everything on this record: the art, the production, the recording. Maybe that's why it took 3 years to come out. I don't know. They had some issues. I guess the initial recording of this happened in 2001, and it just finished. Side 2 just released it. Came out. I got mailed out basically the last 2 weeks. So you're seeing a lot of people pop up and talk about it. Total sacrilege worship in a way. But, you know, not bad. When I first put it on, I just was kind of like, wow, this is just a lot like it. And I don't have their tape. Who Will Be Their Victims, I guess, that came out in 2018. I don't have that tape. So I was kind of like going a little bit off of like what I know about the band and some friends that I have in Boston. As far as like what the band sounds like and such and such. I really like the Innocent LP that came out last year, which has a little bit of a sacrilege sound, but nothing compared to this, where you have a female vocalist that, you know, the way that she's shouting and kind of singing in that way is very, 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 very similar. The recording is very, very similar. It's actually louder, I think, and more bright than Sacrilege is.
Yeah.
I guess makes sense because I get those guys are probably in squats and stuff. But in a lot of ways, it sounds like if Sacrilege, instead of putting out their first record after their 12-inch, they went more metal. This would be their second record if they went more hardcore.
Right.
Not that there isn't a lot of metal on here. There is a lot of, I mean, dare I say, a little bit of bolt thrower kind of guitar work on here, where there's some parts where, I mean, it could be very moshy and very, you know, and they're pushing those rhythms to just really be dark. I've heard it described as crust. I've heard it described as stenchcore, which I don't even know what the fuck stenchcore is.
That was before crust.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. They all look pretty clean on the insert. So,
CC's very clean. Yeah.
yeah, and the rest of the band looks fairly like they're fairly clean as well, from what I can tell.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's really great. I mean, the song's really, it starts off the record with a kind of a poem that kind of leads into the second song, which is kind of like the first song called The Forgotten, and then it just takes off. And every song is killer. In a weird way, it kind of feels a little long, maybe because I'm used to Sacrilege only being like 5 songs or whatever. But it's not long as in like you're waiting to get through the record. It just keeps coming and coming and coming, kind of in that same style.
I think it's quite long compared to like most contemporary hardcore records as well. So
yeah,
like 5,
and
6
the
minutes
songs are
songs.
about 3.5, 4 minutes, it seems. But it's great. I mean, I really have been impressed by it. Obviously, a lot of people are going to like this record. It's people that aren't into, you know, crust or stenchcore are still going to be like into this record. It's going to flow through a lot of different scenes. I would love to see them live. I'd like to see them pull off all these riffs they're doing. The drumming is phenomenal. And Ryan drums is just loud, and the way that it's recorded is just, it just bursts off the needle. So anyway, this would definitely be in my top, you know, my top records of the year if I just didn't have more than a week to listen to it.
I was laughing a little bit because literally the day it came out, suddenly everyone had it on their like end of year list. How many times did you like listen to this before you like put it right straight onto your like end of year list? It's you gotta listen to it a few times, right, before you make it.
I really had to digest it for a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say when I first listened to it, I was like, whoa, okay, guys, you know, like
I think so many people were anticipating that LP after the demo. Like I can't even tell you how many times I played that demo,
Right.
and the LP was like certainly one of the most anticipated things when it finally came out.
Yeah.
Like I don't own the physical copy yet. The times I've heard it, it didn't grab me as immediately as the demo did. You know, I can't really speak to that. Like I really try to hesitate to give any kind of opinion on a record until I am listening to the actual record, because computer speakers just don't cut it.
Right.
But I was really impressed. Like CC's guitar playing on that, I thought was extremely impressive, like right out of the gate.
He's the riff master, man. You know, all his bands, he's the $1 million riffs. He's got the riffs.
And that's why I feel like it has a little bit of that bolt thrower in it. It has that kind of thundering bass, and then the guitar going over it, just really melodic, you know, UK style melodic hardcore. You know, it's you just eat it up like cake. It's delicious.
They're definitely like drawing from a well
in
England, in the Shire, in like 1987. It's not just Sacrilege, right? There's other things in there too. But
there is other stuff in there. And there's a very metallic edge, but it is also hardcore as well. It's not trying to peak out,
right,
you know, as much as Within the Prophecy was.
Yeah, I mean, CC was here like summer 2023, and it's like, yeah, it's probably going to be out by the end of the year, you know. So it took a while to see the live day, but
did he do the recording on that too?
I'm
assuming. I think Ryan recorded it.
Oh, really?
I believe, yeah. But then it also, no, I think they both did it. I think they're both credited on it. But they did everything. They did like the mastering of it, the pressing of it. Right. I mean, they weren't the record pressing plant, but like just about everything else they did.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think the cover art's a little meh, personally. But that's probably my only complaint about the whole record. And honestly, I think it's great. I've listened to it like 4 or 5 times. It's great. People are gonna like it. I don't know if I can really say anything more about it, to be honest with you. It's like the highest grade.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Definitely looking forward to getting that one.
Me too.
Yeah, it's been ordered. I don't have it yet.
Right. Nice. So I was wondering who is going to be the first person to show that record. There you go. I think it'll come up again though. I think people will. It's one of those ones where people will want to talk about it when they get it. So I think
that's good.
That's good. Yeah, we'll see that again. I think for sure, which is great.
I mean, as far as homages go, there are certainly worse bands you could be aping than Sacrilege.
True.
Well, I mean, I there's some bands that that are definitely hyped now that take from a style, whether it's like Adolescence or whatever, and they just don't have the hooks that I find that is necessary to kind of ape certain type of genres. And this, in its way, even though it's very derived from that, they actually pull it off because it's there. The drumming's there, the singing's there. I'm glad she's not singing in a fake British accent. I'm glad that isn't there.
Yeah, it's not
Is
just
her hair crimped on the sleeve.
What's that?
Is her hair crimped on the sleeve?
No.
Missed opportunity.
Next album. All right. Scoots, what's your first pick, man? What you got?
All right, so I'm going to kind of follow up with what Jordan was saying about the year-end list. And I mean, we kind of chatted about this, maybe a week ago online. I was shocked that this record wasn't on everyone's list.
Ooh.
And hadn't been shown on the show before.
Oh. The Norms.
So these guys are from Budapest, Hungary. This came out early in 2024, and I think maybe some people just forgot about it at the end of the year because it came out so early. I guess these guys have been around maybe 10 or so years. This is like their third record. I hear a lot of early 80s Italian hardcore in this. Wretched, Declino, Negazione. Also maybe like the kind of ferocity and just kind of shambolic energy of like the first Meat Puppet 7-inch or, the first DRI 7-inch. I assume they're singing in their native tongue, but this is just furious, raw hardcore. Crazy drumming, like crazy beats. I can't even describe it, but to me, this is like the sound of this record is like Septic Death falling down a staircase. It's just it's fast, it's crazy, it's chaotic, it's got such energy and like just power to it, and like a fucking shitload of cowbell on this. We were listening to this last night on the couch. My wife starts playing air cowbell on the couch, but it works. I mean, it's a wild record. 11 tracks under 15 minutes. You kind of know what you're getting into. Yeah, great one. I think this was out in like February, maybe.
Okay.
11 p.m. records.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I like that label.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, great. I don't want to say catchy because it's almost, it's just like such a spastic kind of lo-fi jumble of sounds, but man, powerful. I don't know. I've spun this thing like a dozen times, like in the last week, just kind of leading up to the show. And this was one I couldn't get enough of when it first came out. And it seemed like a lot of people at the time were kind of talking it up then. But really, I guess it's fallen off everyone's radar because I've been reading all the same year-end lists you guys have, and this one was conspicuous by its absence, in my opinion.
I don't remember seeing that either. Yeah.
Definitely want to pick that up.
I think you're right, though. I think this could be sort of a victim of this sort of culture that we have of like so many new releases. February is like a long time ago. It's kind of been buried. It's been forgotten, or into I don't know, but yeah, I don't remember people talking about it too much either.
Yeah, check it out. Like I said,
Yeah,
it's that just raw, frantic style of hardcore that I associate with like 80s Italian scene. But again, very varied, off kilter tempos, like just great drumming. It's a ferocious record.
You had me at Septic Death falling down the staircase.
Yeah, me too.
I wasn't convinced. He had me at cowbell, actually, I've got to say.
Like blew up.
You know what?
Yeah, a cowbell.
That could really go in multiple directions. They use it a lot, I gotta say, but I will also say I think it's tasteful.
It's important that the cowbell is tasteful.
Yes, we don't like distasteful cowbell on a punk record. Nice. That's good. That got a showing. Like finally, it's been talked about. Not that it didn't exist, but not it was out there. But yeah, nice. I'm gonna check that one out for sure. Is it my turn again?
It is.
It is. Cheers. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I'm a kind of fan of this kind of music anyway. But this year, there's a couple of records in this kind of style that really sort of rekindled my interest in this style or kind of punk. I'm going to call it punk. It's, the 60s meets sort of 60s pop, the girl group pop sounds from the 60s filtered through sort of an 80s sort of indie pop thing and like punked up a little bit. There's a couple of great records that I think have both been talked about. At least one of them has in this kind of general style. One of them is from Belgium. One of them is from France. The French one is the Alvilda record, Alvilda, and the Belgian one is Cœur à l'index, which I talked about last week. I think they're both great records. I've been listening to both of them a lot. But it really did it was funny because I was just thinking about it. I was listening to these records and I'm thinking, man, when I was a young kid, like back in 86, 87, I did not like this like style of indie pop at all. I couldn't stand it. In fact, the town where I'm from, they had a local band in this style called the Chesterfields, who were on Postcard Records, who were quite a big band, like in that style.
I remember.
And I used to go and see them sometimes. I was, man, I don't like this stuff at all. But now I find myself like going back and like listening to some of that C86 stuff, to Gosh, a whole bunch of great bands from the UK. Well, anyway, so I guess the YouTube algorithm was kind to me because it threw up this band for me, which I would not have done if I hadn't have been like messing about, like looking for this kind of music. It recommended me this band from Spain, and it's not often that the YouTube algorithm does me right, but in this case, it really, really did. I've been playing this record just as much as the Alvilda record and the Cœur à l'index record. They're from Spain. It's this band, Melenas. Absolutely tremendous. Easily as good as both the bands I've been kind of talking about. A bit different. I want to say that this band is a little bit darker, is a little bit more varied. There's more of a sort of gloomy feel to them on some of the songs. There's kind of more variety. They have that little bit of that Stereolab, like motoric beat on some of their songs, which I really like personally. And I think the vocal harmonies and melodies are fucking like out of this world. Like it just blew me away because they have a lead singer, but all of the members sing, and sometimes they sing in chorus in unison, and it really, really it's so beautiful over this style of music.
Vocals in Spanish, Mike?
In Spanish, yes. So this came out in 2017. It's their first record, but Trouble in Mind Records, which I think is an American label.
It is.
Reissued it a couple of years back. Yeah,
they did the Negative Scanner stuff.
Okay, yes, I knew it. I knew it. Sort of reminded me of something. But yeah, amazing record. They've got a bunch of videos on YouTube. But if you like that kind of stuff that I've been talking about, definitely check this band out. Like I said, a little bit sort of darker, more variation, maybe a little bit more psychedelic, a little bit more gloomy. But
yeah, I'm putting that on my list.
Highly recommended. They've got 2 more records out, which I've not heard yet. I don't know if they change their sound or kind of stay with this kind of sound.
That's their first one, or
this is their first record. Yeah. Great cover art too. The name means mane, like a mane of hair, and you can see there's like a knife with a skull on it, like slicing through the hair or the mane. You can't quite tell who's doing the cutting. Yeah, again, kind of gives it that sort of dark feel as well, the artwork. But and they're from Pamplona, which is like a more rural area of Spain too, which is kind of quite interesting.
Is that where you do the running of the bulls?
Is it? I don't know. Is it?
Yeah,
it's near the Pyrenees, right? That's as much as I know. Well, great record. Thanks, YouTube. Sometimes YouTube will steer you in the right direction if you stay on long enough. But, that's my second pick.
nice.
Melenas from Spain. There you go. All right.
You ready? You ready?
I don't know. Am I?
This record burns. This record lacerates. I haven't heard guitar like this since early Greg Ginn days. This is like
Snakes
a
on it,
strangulated, restrained. Yeah, there's snakes on it.
There you go. It was right in front of you.
I didn't even realize that. I forgot. But White Collar, they're from Canada, West Coast Canada, Victoria, maybe. They share members with Head Cheese and Crosshairs and Bootlicker.
Okay.
And I mean, this is an angry record. Very angry. Anxious States, Petition Signer, Urban Homestead, Diversity Hire, Equal Wrongs, Anxious States, I said, Therapy Speak. It sounds like there's a lot of experience in here about being angry. And I mean, on the back, I can't figure it out. It looks like a contorted fish head doing something awful.
It's like a little bit of yoga. It's like,
yeah, some punk yoga.
I've been curious about that record because by the cover I couldn't tell what kind of music it was, but I heard a lot of great stuff about it.
Yeah, somebody just put a comment up. I don't know what it said, but
it rules, and they
yeah. I saw them in Pittsburgh, I think, and it was just absolutely. I mean, I was surprised this didn't end up. I was checking your database. I was like, that's not on there. Wow. I was like, but it came out over the summer, I think. But self-released. It's not even. It's this is a Static Shock release. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Yeah. Pardon me, but I play this a lot on the radio show, and I mean, I find something always on here, off of here, a different track. And I can't say angry enough. You know, female vocals. It's really angry. This is one of the angriest records I've heard in years.
Wow.
But enjoyable. Not, it's scary, but you don't want to shy away from it. You know, you're like, oh, I don't want to hear some more. Very entertaining. There's something in the water in that region right now. These cross-pollination members, even like with Chain Whip and those Neon Taste bands.
Right.
And but this is the angriest of the bunch. I mean, Bootlicker could get pretty angry, and when we play it, sometimes we think it's redlining, but it's not. I think it was recorded redlining, so we're like, because we don't want it to distort on the broadcast. But holy cow. I've got nothing but great things to say about this.
Nice.
If you haven't, check it out. White Collar, Vancouver, Victoria, BC, Canada. Angry to your
I haven't heard that one, but that bootlegger I've played a million times so far.
self-release is Blue.
Well, no, it's not so. Is it? Oh, it's Blue. Okay, thanks.
Oh,
But yeah, I just noticed on the back it said Static Shock.
sure.
Oops.
Wow. Nice. All right. Oh. All right, Jordan, what's
All right. So I'm going a little old school. You know, every time I come on here, I want to highlight a Chicago band. And usually I go, a little old school, a newer band. This band is a very formative band for me. And honestly, when I think of the hardcore that's come out of the Chicago area, I can't think of a band that was more influential in my viewpoint than this band. It's just, the band was around from 91 to 98 and then kind of came back and formed up again, did some shows. But they had, in 2015, they had a discography released. I gotta find the fucker.
Oops.
And I'm talking about Los Crudos.
Oh, yeah.
We were living in really dangerously shitty times, and I want to bring everybody's vibe down for 2015. But I do think that the lyrics of this band and what this band had to say is relevant now as it was in 1990. It's as relevant now as it's ever been. Literally, we have an entire political party and a good 30 to 45% of our nation who is scapegoating people out of our country. And this band addresses that literally head on. I've known these guys since I was about 16 or 17 years old. So for me, it was always a big, it's always been a very, important band. In my view, one of the best hardcore bands of the entire 90s. It's just amazing people. The fact that they took their sound and brought it all over the world when they were around as a band. That they kind of changed their sound a little bit. They've had some membership changes. There was 2 original members, Martin and Jose. And Juan has been in the band quite a long time, but they had 4 drummers. But the last drummer was Ebro, who kind of sped up the band a little bit on their last record. But for this discography in general, I tend to enjoy the first 2 7-inches by them the most. And they're split with Manumission. Those are my favorite stuff by them. And that is primarily the A and B side of this record. This came out, I said again, in 2015 by MRR. They also, they themselves, Martin did a great job with Linga Armada, always keeping Los Crudos in press. They had, another version of this that didn't include their last LP. And this one also has demos on it and has some comp songs, which are on this as well. I think this sounds better. One of the issues was that on the first 7-inch, there's a skip. And so with this, it's fixed. So that's actually pretty awesome that's like that. Yes, this also has a split with Spitboy, which I also really love. Talk about a split record that, in my view, is one of the most uneven split records of all time. I could literally listen to the Spitboy side one time. Not that I don't think Spitboy wasn't a bad band, but that wasn't their best material. Whereas Crudos' material on that Spitboy split is absolutely phenomenal, which is basically the B side of this.
All right.
So anyway, absolutely phenomenal band, a band that people shouldn't be forgetting. There came a time in the 2000s where every single band that was from South America or Mexico that had somebody singing in Spanish got compared to Los Crudos, what they felt was a bit unfair. It happened a lot to bands in Chicago. There was bands like Nonfiction Noise. There was lots of different bands that were around in Chicago that would constantly get the comparison of Crudos, which they didn't. They weren't into that. It's just that, but this band in itself is a classic, and La Vida put out in 2016, so it's still available. So you should definitely get this. It's essential.
Yeah, easily one of the best bands of the 90s.
Yes, by far.
They have another discography record too, right? Is that the only 2 they have? or is there like
it gets a little confusing because
right.
a lot of times they would get a European release and they would often have a different cover.
Okay.
So that 91 through 94 record was released also in Europe with a different cover on it.
I think that's what I have.
That was the Lingua Armada that I showed you.
Okay.
I actually have several of the different. I probably have like every record they put out and variants of them. I would help Martine screen stuff back in the day when I was young. But, I have a great story too on Crudos. Like the first time I saw Crudos was actually in Austin, Texas, and they played the Eco Action Warehouse, which was like a recycling center, and they had a stage there. And I remember I interviewed them for my shitty high school zine out in the parking lot. And they played with a band called the Motards, which was a garage rock band. And the singer went out of his way to make fun of Crudos for talking during their songs, which is something that they had to kind of battle with a little bit because all their songs were in Spanish. So they spent a lot of time trying to like communicate with the audience what they were singing about and why they were singing about it, which made them such an influential band. And I just remember doing that interview. In the middle of the interview, like Martine, like listening and hearing the guy make fun of him, who was shit-faced drunk. And it just like spewed off like all this anger in the interview. It was probably the best interview I ever did with my shitty high school team. Because just listening to that. But absolute classic songs, dude. Like Nada Cambia, Palomios is on there. It's just, I don't know, Asesinos. Just a total classic punk band, up there with every great Chicago punk band from the Effigies, Articles of Faith. It's just, that's one of those classic bands. And like Scoot said, one of the best bands in the entire 90s.
Yeah, I mean, up there with the best bands of the 90s. So you're talking about Infest, Crossed Out, Drop Dead. I mean, all the heavy hitters. I mean, and they're right up there, you know.
All the Japanese.
And they were very loved in Japan as well. They'd end up touring quite a bit in Japan. Played shows with Oz.
They did. They kind of came over. Not, I'm saying recently. It's actually probably about 10 years ago. They came to Tokyo and did like it was a Crudos and Gores only like two bands show. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all over Ebro. Bring us back some shirts. They're all like teeny.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right, Scoots.
All right, so Mike, for a second there, I thought you were gonna scoot me on your last pick when you started talking about 60s girl.
Oh, you got another one?
Rock. You weren't close, but the nature of this show, I mean, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
So, like you said, the Alvida, however you pronounce it, Curla Index, those are on like everyone's best of lists. Mine as well. This is kind of a similar direction, but let's go back in time to kind of an earlier iteration of that.
Oh,
yeah.
So the Pandoras.
Nice.
This is 1986. Sorry for the glare. I'm trying to angle it. 1986. This is their second album. A very consciously 1960s kind of garage revival sound. You know, at a time where maybe not a lot of people thought that was a cool thing to do. I mean, you can certainly tell by the cover, like they were embracing it whole hog, like almost to like a cosplay kind of level of, you know, commitment to it. But this is a great record. A lot of fun. Like I said, it's garage rock. It's punk, but it's like certainly got like 60s, like 60s songwriting, the catchiness. Probably most notable, this band, for having half of the Muffs in their one of their lineups. There were like a ton of lineup changes, I guess, with these guys. Like it was essentially like the brainchild of the lead singer Paula Pierce. After the first record, there was like a lot of hard feelings. Most of the band either quit or was fired. They brought in a bunch of new people. Melanie Vaman and Kim Shattuck from the Muffs were in that lineup, and probably the lineup that's best known for a lot of people. This is a killer record. like if you have any kind of affinity for like either 60s girl groups, the Shangri-Las, that kind of stuff, or garage revival, it's got such a stigma when you say that, like amongst like punks of our age. I love that stuff. You can almost kind of hear a prefiguring of like the estrus kind of sound of the early 90s.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, no, me too. Absolutely. This is definitely much more leaning back toward the 60s. But a fun record. I mean, you can hear, to my ears, like I can hear, like I said, like the prefiguring of like the estrus stuff, but also like some of what I think is great about the Muffs, who, again, talking about the best bands of the 90s, the Muffs are right up there for me. Like they're in my top 10 as far as like their first two albums, Flawless, those early singles. And like Kim's vocal style on those records is kind of like a more amped up version of Paula's on this record. Like she can do the straight clean singing, but then when she needs to, like she hits that overdrive and like she's got the growl, she's got the screams, the wails. And it's just really, really great stuff. Unfortunately, the singer had a brain aneurysm at like age 31, which essentially killed the band at the time. There was like every legacy band, they had their reunions over time, whatever. But, that was kind of the end of the band in like 91, where they were kind of changing their sound up at the time, kind of going more toward just a more conventional kind of hard rock sound. If you look around online, they appeared on Arsenio Hall show, like after this record, but you can kind of already hear like they're going, like I said, it's a much more just conventional early 90s hard rock sound, which it's fine, but it's not going to be compelling to a lot of people, I don't think. But that record, Stop Pretending, 1986, I'll go to bat for this one all day long. Yeah. Any fans?
Is that 1986 or 1996?
86.
Wow.
Yeah. The first album was 84. Like before Kim and Melanie from the Muffs were in it. But yeah, this is 86.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was sure that was like a 90s, like early 2000s band. I don't know why I thought that. I think people weren't ready for that in the 80s. It was like the 60s was too near in the rearview mirror. They kind of weren't ready for a revival maybe at that point. I don't know. Especially people like us, it's like we weren't having it.
Yeah, I don't know who the audience, the intended audience was. Like I like some of the other bands in that kind of vein. If you guys know like the Liars from Boston,
Yeah,
yes,
they came out of DMZ. Like I love those guys. Or Plan 9 from Rhode Island, they were doing like a 60s kind of psychedelic garage rock revival sound.
Chesterfield Kings. Remember Chesterfield
Kings?
Yeah. Like I don't know how, where they really fit in with the contemporary music of the time. Like did punks embrace them at the time, or was it more like older people kind of trying to recapture something from their youth? I don't know, because I was a little kid at the time, but
right.
I don't know. To me now, I find it refreshing and a lot of fun. Like it scratches a lot of the same itches as Alvida or Dolly Mixture, those kinds of bands.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds Paisley Revival, exactly.
It's on a major label too, though, right? Is it on like?
This is on Rhino.
Rhino.
Oh, all right.
Wow. Yeah. So their first LP was on Vox, which was, I guess, like a subsidiary of Bomp, and Vox did like they did like DMZ and The Liars and Plan 9 and that kinds of shit.
Okay.
Man, it's just, that actually blew my mind when he said it was 86. I thought I'd misheard when he said that, but wow.
Here in the 80s, there was a big, we called it garage scene, and it came out of kind of the early 80s punk scene around here, and there was a garage scene. It was really vibrant here up into the late 90s.
Yeah. It was really big on the East Coast, the South, and the West Coast.
So everywhere but the North.
Everywhere, yeah. Because you had like
Naughty.
records, but then but yeah, that's great stuff.
It's good stuff. I don't know, like I never hear anybody talking about them other than as like kind of a historical footnote for the Muffs connection. But you can find this record cheap out in the world, and it's a hell of a lot of fun, in my opinion.
You know what? That's kind of been on my wants list at Disc Union for about 2 years, and it never shows up over here. It's kind of one of those ones that's kind of hard to find over here. But one day.
Yeah, I mean, like Rhino Records, that shouldn't be too obscure.
No.
Right. And 80s too, right? So they probably pressed a lot. So, yeah.
It seems like they weren't in like an underground kind of scene. I'm just basing this again like on the pressing history of their records, and you could tell they had aspirations for like making it, not being like the biggest.
I thought they were
fish
like Warner Brothers or something. I thought that they were signed to a bigger label.
Well, so again, after this one, they had like some kind of deal with someone. I want to say at maybe like Restless Records. Maybe not like a top tier major, but kind of getting in that level.
Yeah.
And there's some story about like they got to the test pressing stage and the manager got fired, so they killed all his projects, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's common.
But again, you can hear from the evolution of their sound that they were going towards something more mainstream. And again, like appearing on like the Arsenio Hall show, like you're trying to reach like a mainstream, like that kind of level of success that is not what we consider part of like our kind of punk ethos.
Sure.
Hey, kind of in the same ballpark, I think, a little bit maybe. I think it was Dennis who showed like, I think it's like the 5th like Donna's record. And he was like saying, and I was like, how good can this be kind of thing. I was a bit cynical. I bought it. Man, he was absolutely fucking 100% correct. That record is fucking incredible.
Which one is that, Mike?
I forget the title, but it's like the 5th record. It's like they're going in that sort of more rock kind of direction a little bit. It's like Spend the Night, something like that. Is that what it's called?
Okay, yeah. Donna Spend the Night. Yeah, like I love their earlier stuff like dearly. And I sort of followed them for a while, like probably right around the era you're talking about. I was kind of just not really feeling it. Like it's listenable. Like it certainly, if it came on or if I was at your house and you played it, I wouldn't be like offended. But it's such a from
I
their
think,
early stuff,
I think now, I think you would like it now. I think
it's possible. Like I love having my mind change or going back and revisiting things that I dismissed and seeing them in a new light. So I'll definitely give that another spin.
Yeah, I was very surprised because I wasn't believing him, but he was absolutely correct. I have to say, yeah. All right, cheers. Round 3. Here we go. Let me take you back to Finland, the 2000s. This band was the hot ticket back in the day, in like 2007. I think most of us here have been like digging T. Kerry from like last year and this year. And well, this band is kind of a precursor to that in a way, but then again, they're sort of not, because it's like that 77 style, like Finnish punk from back in the day, which they were kind of reviving in like 2007. They came to the States a couple of times, I think. This band on their first UK tour was so good that they made Al Quint's top 10 best shows of the year 2010. That's how good this band was. I've never seen them live, but I remember on certain areas of the internet, there used to be a lot of chatter about this band, and I was not convinced. I thought they had a funny name, a silly name. People used to sort of remark on that. I think it might be where sort of like funny fake names for bands that we used to kind of make up came from this band, maybe. But I saw this folk the other day in the store, and I was like, man, I gotta get this, because I never listened to them back then. I was like, how good could this band have been? And you know what? People were right. This band were great. I'm talking about Kakkahata.
Wow.
77.
They were good live. I like that band.
Yeah, come on, check it out. Punks on skis. Totalitan Kakkahata, which I just assume was like their complete discography record, but it's just their first 2 7-inches, one on side A, one on side B. Man, this is so much fun. Like just kind of basic ramshackle, punk rock.
Yeah.
What a great band. I wonder like what people thought of this band in 2007, because I don't think many bands were doing this kind
well in Chicago. I mean, they played a basement. People were pogoing, going nuts. The roadie peed on my friend's floor.
Because it's like it's too ramshackle to sort of fit in with the kind of street punk thing. But maybe they would have had some fans in that scene. The sort of the Unseen and all those kind of bands. I think they could have fit in there a little bit too.
When they came to the U.S., there was a lot of bands like Social Circle around, and like melodic kind of punk bands. I mean, even my old band, like they would come through certain towns and do pretty well, from what I remember. And people wanted their records in the U.S. At least in Chicago, they were real popular for a band because it's like fun and like just
such a fun like Bailey's Drunken record, party record, drunk pogoing punk, but no hardcore. It's like 100%, two fingers in the air punk rock. It's a little bit, but actually, you know what? It's kind of very basic, but actually, when you listen, they're quite good at their instruments. Actually, it's kind of deceiving. So
one of those bands where a drunk can still play well.
Okay.
Didn't they turn into Paki?
There's one or two members. Yes.
Yeah, I toured with Paki. They're funny guys.
Yeah.
Great guys.
Yeah. That band was fun too. They're fun to party with. They were drinkers.
Oh yeah. Team.
Yeah, that's great. I noticed that. I was like, man, I've got to check that band out too, because I was late to the game with Kakkahata 77. So much fun.
Definitely brings you back to an era of punk that was.
I was thinking. I bet people who saw this band then were like, "Man, I remember that band from back in the day," kind of thing, Because this is kind of still kind of new to me, It's kind of a new band in a way, hearing it for the first time in 2025 or 2024. At first I was like, yeah, you know what? If I'd have had a few drinks and someone put this on and said, hey, this is like from Bloodstains Across Finland, Volume 2. I was like, I might believe them, but I don't think I would. It's a bit different to that, but it's definitely like drawing from that sort of very sing-along, drunk, first wave of Finnish punk, like Ratsia and Briard and Normali and all those kind of bands, but like updated a little bit for the 2000s,
Yeah. Great band. I like that band. I haven't thought about them for a minute.
I bet nobody's thought about this band for a long time.
Yeah.
I kind of guessed that would be the case, but go back to your youth, revisit your youth with.
Makes you smile, that fucking band.
77. I mean, if you like T. Carey, it's a little bit different to T. Carey. It's not as like
no, top funky.
It's a bit more aggro, a bit more spikes and studs. Yeah.
A little more streety.
Yeah, a little more streety.
I completely missed that when that came out.
Me too. I was in my sort of cynical phase, so I was probably sort of thinking, Kakkahata 77? What are you talking about, kind of thing. But now I'm all about it. I'm disappointed though, because I was like, man, I've got the whole discography, and I don't. It's like there's like about 4 more singles and another LP. A lot of EPs. There's a couple of splits. I think there's a couple of tour tapes as well, US tour tapes and stuff. But if you like Drunken, or even if you don't like Drunken, if you like punk, we all like punk. Kakkahata 77.
I like how a few days ago we were talking about only choosing records that we could pronounce in English properly.
This is an easy one. Kakkahata.
It's not Klupa Hoopin Sukaputo.
No, it's an easy one. Playing it safe. Yeah,
all right.
My next one though is a little bit difficult, but we'll get to that.
You've given me the perfect segue to this.
Oh yeah,
my pick.
Nice.
This is a band from Chile. They're called Ediando.
Oh, I've had my eye on that one.
Keep looking, man. It's one of the best. This is one of the best of last year for sure. And it, it's chaos punk, but it's like, as you were saying for Kakkahata 77, no frills punk. This is like punk. This is punk as fuck. No metal, no leads, no thrash, nothing like that at all. This came out on I think they had a series of demos in Chile, and that Italian label, Fuck Off and Die, has just released it. But I heard it. The drum mix on this is insane. It'll tear a city block in half, and you can't help but move when you listen to it. This is a record will set a fire under your fucking ass, and it's like it's angry. It's 2 releases on here though. Toxic Love and La Muerte de Lucia Heriat, who was the death of Lucia Heriat, who is Pinochet's wife, dictator Pinochet's wife. But this is, I'm going to say 200% punk on this one, and from what I some of the songs I translated, There Is No Solution Anymore, Shitty Summer, More Attitude was a track. I Screwed Up Again, but Christ, this just makes you move, and I mean the drumming. I can't say so much. So many levels of mayhem on this. That I mean, you're gonna pogo your fucking house apart listening to this, and I can only hope to see them someday. Maybe West Coast, maybe they'll make it up there. But I was really surprised by this, and pleasantly surprised. And when the record's finished, you'll find yourself breathing heavily. It's like, wow, did I just hear that? I mean, holy crap. It's got the almost kind of Disney thing going on, chaos punky. Here's the back. Toxic Love. Punk. But I mean, this is fun. This record, like you were saying, that's why I say, wow, I got to put that on right after he talked about Kakkahata 70, because this is in the same area. But the drumming, I'll say it again, the drumming rips. It really rips, man. And I can't figure it out. I was just like, wow, they just cut right through. I was like, it's not, it just doesn't, it's not so uniform chaos punk,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they're not just like, this is hard, this is, oi, oi, like this is like, oi, oi, I love it. This record was one of my favorites of last year. Eddie Ando, Toxic Love, Chef's Kiss.
It does look a bit like some of the old Ratos de Parral records also had that sort of cartoony feel to them too, right? Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's a pogo fest. It really is. It's like you set that needle down, you're like,
oh man, I thought I was done with last year. It's still more records to get from last year. It's crazy. Eddie Ando from Chile.
Eddie Ando from Chile.
Nice.
200% punk.
200. Not 175. Not 185.
I might have a 300 coming up on my next pick. We'll see.
Yeah, 300. I'm anxious, man.
Well,
turn it up, man. More attitude.
I'm now for something completely different.
All right.
So this pick, I hate to use the term singer songwriter. However, this guy was in a pretty formative punk band, and after about 3 or 4 years of putting out 3 records with this band, and having, I think from what I understand, a pretty cranky guy, even though he's a pretty amazing musician. So he had a lot of like different people playing in this band. Basically he owed a bunch of money to a record label on the last record, basically causing the band to break up. He moved to the Mojave Desert, and he basically kind of isolated himself from 1983 to 1985. And I guess he was writing music, but just on his own. And I think he was trying to figure out how he was going to get his life back together. So he wrote an exceptionally fucking depressing record. But basically one of the label got the label that went bankrupt, and they owed a bunch of money to, ended up becoming a rep at another label, and checked him out and asked him, could he get the band back together, or what's going on with the band? He said the band wasn't getting back together, but that he had this solo record that he would like to have come out. And he sent the recordings to it, and the guy liked it. He also said, but I need something from the other band. So he gave him a bunch of tapes of live shows that end up becoming a record that came out at the same time. And this record is probably the most depressing record in my record collection.
Man, I have no clue. I can't even guess.
It came out in 1985 on Enigma Records, and we're talking about Greg Sage, Straight Ahead.
Oh,
okay.
So yeah, that I honestly think, and if you can tell by the artwork, it's a guitar that's being hung in a graveyard. On the back cover, it's Greg Sage looking very arms crossed guitar with a bunch of wrestling posters. He recorded most of the record. I guess also part of the story was how he even recorded this record was he was fixing equipment as a career between 1983 and 1985. And after he, I believe, thought that the Wipers were no longer going to exist as a band. And they basically were all broken up. And I think he was extremely upset about that issue. And so he was repairing equipment and repaired an 8-track recorder for a guy and said that he would do it for free if he could have it for a month. And that month, he then recorded this record. And now, when I talk about this record, I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with this record because when I first got it, I probably got it about 20 years ago. It fits in between Over the Edge and Land of the Lost because after this record did pretty okay, and then the live Wipers record did okay. So then they got signed to do Land of the Lost and then started to, put out like 3 or 4 more records after that. But I think he was pretty much desolate that his music career was basically over at this point in time when he recorded this. So the first half of the record sounds like an acoustic version because it's most of it with him on guitar, though there is some drumming on it. Dean Johnson, who drummed for Poison Idea, did some drumming on this record.
Wow.
But the majority of it is just him playing acoustic and like just experimenting with the tracks on that, like putting different guitar on top of each other. On the first side feels like it could be a Wipers record between Over the Edge and Land of the Lost.
Huh?
And then the second side is just fucking desolate depression. It is so dark. And he slows it down like really slow. And to be honest with you, I only listened to the first side for probably 10 years or 15 years of having this record because I just could not get into the second side, even though you can tell it's well-crafted songs. It's just so fucking depressing. But yeah, I the last 5-6 years, I've really gotten into the second side, which is probably the most depressing stuff I've heard. There's a lot of like just alienation, a lot of talk about existential crisis of being alive, lost love. There's a line in here, which I wrote down, which I think is great. No, he was not a blind man. Oh, but he lost his sight. Like it just takes your heart and just squeezes it and just lets it. My wife came in yesterday when I was listening to this record to like write some notes down, and she's like, Jesus fucking Christ, like
you're right.
Are you okay? Yeah.
I know, right? And then I like had insomnia last night after listening to it, and the lyrics are going through my head, and I was just like, the songs, I'm like, God, like all the second side.
That's hilarious. It's like it's literally the opposite of the last 2 picks.
Exactly. This is the kind of shit that will haunt you. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, the Wipers have that kind of edge to them already.
Yeah.
Like they've always had that, like with Youth of America. I mean, just they pound you with this kind of like you are being isolated, you are alone, no one's coming for you. Like they have that edge.
And even the catchy stuff has that dark undercurrent to it.
For sure. So anyway, I think this is a classic record. And for a solo record, and for fans of the Wipers, you should get this and you should listen to it. I mean, if anything, you're going to love the first side for being like a stripped down version of some almost like in between Over the Edge and Land of the Lost, and then the B-side just to fucking like put you in your grave.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. Like I love the Wipers, so I'll definitely be game to check that one out.
Yeah, I've been I've been curious about that for a long time, actually, because I did buy that sort of late era Wipers record, The Herd,
Yeah.
which it was like CDO. There
Like
was a
3
single,
records after this, I think. Yeah.
okay, which I was surprised by how good that was. So yeah,
There's just a lot of like, I mean, somebody had coined the term. I read some reviews about it, and someone called it the first dark folk record, which I don't like Stenchcore. I'm like, dark folk. I don't even know. Like, I don't think of folk when I listen to it, even though it's definitely singer-songwriter-ish in a way, but it's dark.
Oh,
Early in your intro to that, I thought you were going to pull out the Chris Bell record. Do you guys know that one? Chris Bell from Big Star.
I Am the Cosmos.
oh, I know.
And the Cosmos. Yeah. It sounded like a similar kind of progression, although the years were wrong, but that kind of was what was popping into my mind.
That's a great record too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the guy was in the dumps, you know, like, and I mean, it's great that he got his career back together with that.
I was gonna say he came out of it. I think.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, is it sort of dark? Like, is it sort of Nick Drake? Is it like that? Maybe
I
not.
mean, I don't know enough about Nick
Okay.
Drake to say what the comparison. It's really it's not like it's pretty in a way. Like there is like the instrumentation in it is dark and it's slow and it's kind of hollowed out and it's very like bare bones, and the lyrics are very like just really poetic, but in a way in which that you know, they're just it's really dark. But it also was like this guy needed to get this out. That's kind of what it felt like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of felt like, you know, your dream has died. And I really don't know what the rest of my life is going to be. And this is what, and then I'm recording this, and just the fact that he recorded fixing somebody's 8-track, and then it sounds so good. Like it really is kind of an artist working.
Nice.
Yeah, but that guitar on a noose hanging from a tree. Oh my god!
Yeah,
it's like a therapy session drawing. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh god!
With the graveyard in the background, like
yeah, it's like oh yeah, yeah. You draw it for your therapist, right? How you feeling, Greg? At this age?
Well, I'm gonna string out my guitar and kill it.
That's some grim stuff.
Beautiful. All right.
Glad he made it out.
Right. Scoots, what's your third pick?
All right. Well, speaking of no segues.
Oh,
Stress eater. There you go.
So,
Okay.
Is my camera freezing up for you guys?
A little bit.
yeah. When I think the best thing to do is not move.
All right. So this is Stress Eater.
Okay.
This just came out, I believe, the end of November. This may be the first rap record ever shown on the show.
Really?
No, there's been a few.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with Czarface.
Yeah.
This is basically half of Czarface, Esoteric, and 7L. Whereas Czarface, you have Inspector Deck from Wu-Tang. This, they have Cool Keith. You can tell by the cover art. Again, sorry for the glare on this, but they're super into comic book imagery, all kinds of 80s allusions, cartoons, Star Wars, wrestling. Again, maybe another first, but a comic book tie-in.
Oh, we're losing him.
Oh, look at that. Oh, I see.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
So obviously they're also taking cues from the Santa Cruz Screaming Hand logo
Santa
on
Cruz,
here. Yeah, like I see a little bit of Judge Death from the Judge Dredd comics on here. This is like sort of, I don't have a huge vocabulary as far as rap goes. Like I don't follow new rap. Like I love 90s rap, Wu-Tang. This is like got that kind of 90s boom bap beat to it. really cool layered production. Similar to if you've heard Czarface, if you've heard MF Doom, Dr. Octagon, you're kind of mining similar terrain with what you can expect from this. I love it. Like, to me, this is made for like, Gen X comic book nerds. Like, just again, all the allusions in this are to like pop culture, but like specifically like 80s pop culture. The samples are from like cartoons that we grew up with. Great stuff. Like, I just got this last week, so I haven't even literally had this a week so far, but so far I love it. I don't know if you guys are fans, but
I have a few like Czarface records. I think I have one that he did. Did he do one with Ghostface Killer at one point?
Probably. They've had like a million. Like, they did one with MF Doom, and obviously Inspector Deck. Like I said, he was a member. So yeah, I think they've done like a lot of collaborative stuff. And Ghostface would be like an obvious one with all like the Iron Man imagery and the samples that he, like all the 1960s Marvel Comics cartoon samples that he has in his music. It's you're looking at similar stuff with this. So yeah, that would certainly make sense. This is I guess this was a Record Store Day exclusive. I think this is literally the first Record Store Day record I ever bought, but that was like the easiest way to get it. It's this cool kind of see-through magenta vinyl.
Oh, nice. It's beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Like, the art's the same artist who does the Czarface records. This is actually like the Czarface character right here getting like blown away by who I'm assuming is Stress Eater on here. But yeah, like I said, good stuff. If you're a fan of that kind of stuff, Wu-Tang, Ghostface, Dr. Octagon, MF Doom, anything in that kind of vein, give this a check. It's brand new, but cool. I've been playing it a lot lately. I really like it.
Cool. Yeah, I like Gillis.
Ice-T guest vocals on it at one point.
Cool. Nice.
I saw a funny video of Ice-T getting into it with a cop today.
Really?
Today?
Yeah, it was today. He was going to the DMV and he was pulling at the DMV and he got pulled over for having expired plates. And he came out and was like showing him that he's going to the DMV and he just needs to walk over there. And the cop was being a dick about towing his car. And he's like, "Fuck you, you're an asshole." And the cop's like, "Did you just call me an asshole?" Like, that guy, real cop killer.
But I like the connection that it's an extension of Ghostface Killer and all that stuff. Like, you're saying it's the next thing in that succession of that Wu-Tang
collaboration kind of rap.
Yeah. Like, in the family. Is it in the family?
Yeah, like I don't think you're going to be like blown away by any new revelations on this if you know that the stuff I've mentioned. Like, it's a very natural progression of that. And really, it's kind of more of the same. Like, I have a few of the Czarface records. Some I think are better than others. I think they're all very listenable. But they put out like a lot of material, frankly.
Right.
So I kind of pick and choose a little bit. But this one, as soon as I heard it, like right out of the gate, I'm like, damn, this whole album is just super catchy. I love the production on it. Like, the sound, it just hits me just right. Like, I don't know a better way to say it, but yeah, like again, some of the Czarface stuff I really liked. I don't know. Some of it is just, it's more the same.
Right. Very, very, like, prolific, and maybe sometimes.
And it's like, you know what? It's a testament to their skill. Like the production is very skillful across the board. The rhymes extremely consistent, extremely proficient. Maybe editing is not their greatest suit. If you're putting out like an LP like every year or close to every year,
right?
Maybe hold it back a little bit, but it's almost like the flip side of the coin with like current punk and hardcore, where it's like your album is 12 minutes long, and it's like, man, you couldn't have waited until you had a 22 minute right there,
or the one side,
Nice. This isn't milk. It's Bailey's milk, which I suppose is milk.
What's a Bailey's cow look like?
It's got a lampshade on its head.
Yeah.
Creamy. All right. Let's go back to okay. So I was about 1920 and like living in sort of Bournemouth in the UK in a kind of squat style environment. Didn't have much money. Did a lot of tape trading. And when I say tape trading, that means you get your dole money, you go to the shop, you get like 10 of the cheapest like C60 or C90 cassettes that you could afford. You just put them in an envelope. You wouldn't even wrap them up or anything. Like just stuff them in the envelope, take to the post office, soap the stamps, and you'd send them off to someone. You know, if you were lucky, you would know someone who would be kind enough to sort of tape you things. And I knew a guy, this guy called Johnny, and Johnny was the original owner of Peaceville Records before he sold it to Hammy. So going sort of back, he was the founder of Peaceville. But he had this like huge list. You could just sort of tell him what you wanted on the tapes. As long as you paid for the return postage, he would tape you anything. But at that time, I was sort of, I don't know why, I was really into like melodic American hardcore. So like Dag Nasty, Scream, Government Issues. So I would like ask him, like, give me a lot of that kind of stuff. And so he would like, all right, then I could tell he wasn't very keen, but he was like, okay. And then I was like, also Japanese hardcore. So it'd be like melodic US hardcore or Japanese hardcore. That was like the two types of music that I was interested in like 1987. But he was like, I could tell he wasn't really keen on spending like hours and hours like dubbing me the stuff. So if there was ever like one tape left or a side, he'd be like, all right, so at the end I've taped you some decent stuff. All right, so you would like the last tape or the last half a side, and I never liked any of it. I was like everything on his bonus picks that he sent me, I was like, oh god, not again. I also gave up listening at one point. But this was one of the first ones, I remember it so clearly. It was one of the first ones that he ever put on the end of a C90 after like Scream and Gizm or whatever he'd like take me that month. And I was like, I just did not like it at all. I just found it. First time owner, all these years later, I found the record. I said, you know what? I'm going to buy this. And what does 57-year-old me think about this record? I love it.
Wow.
Johnny was right. I was wrong.
Gotcha.
He got me. I was wrong.
Now
I
you
was
got it
stupid.
done.
I was narrow-minded. It's probably, I think it's a classic. It's Brazilian. It's from Brazil. Like Brazil, 1987. A split LP on Devil Discos. So, kind of big label for Brazilian hardcore. Great looking record. I'm talking about, of course, the Tropa Suicida Chaos 6. Look at that. Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. Chaos 64 split LP. Oh, man. What was I thinking? What was 20-year-old me thinking? There you go. But, you know, I know why I didn't like this back then. It's just, it's super noisy, but it's not in a super noisy way like Confuse or Guy. It's just like, back then it kind of sounded like a nothing noise to me, just like nothing stood out to me. But it's super punk. It's like just like that sort of classic Brazilian hardcore sound that we love. You know, Olo Seco, you know, all those bands. Just like that. You know, super raw, passionate. You can't replicate this stuff. Punk. This is my 300% punk. But this is kind of hardcore actually. It's hardcore punk. It's not punk, it's hardcore punk. Both bands kind of sound similar. We've got like those bark, like raw, like passionate vocals, the bumblebee bass, the sort of wasp guitars, you know. It's going back to the drumming. It's the drumming that kind of sets these two bands apart. And there's always a winner on a split record, as we know. And so I have a winner for me, I think, better because of the drumming. Like Tropica Suicida, bashing. That's my technical term for it. Bashing away with not a care in the world of like what's going on in the song. You know, just like let's bash as hard as I can until like the song finishes, kind of thing, with like almost no variation. And people love that shit. People into sort of noisecore and stuff like love that, right? no, almost no fills, just like bash, 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 bash. Not blast beat, but sort of as fast as you can get without being a blast beat. That's great. But Chaos 64 have like a kind of quite a good drummer who does like fills and everything and drum rolls and almost kind of a D beat going on. So for me, the winner in this is Chaos 64. But
Went by art too.
look at that. Come on. What's not to love about Chaos 64?
I never heard Chaos 63, so I'd be lost.
Yeah.
It's one louder.
You're getting lit up in the chat, Mike, for saying you heard that in 1920.
Who's saying that? 100? No. Well, yeah. Not far off. 37 years later. That would be right. 37 years into the future. And but it's so nice that as soon as I saw it in the racks, you don't really see this record. It's the first time I've seen it. You don't see it. I was like, hang on a minute. I know that record. And it took me about 10 seconds. And I went, oh, God, yeah. It wasn't that fucking tape that I got in like 1987, you know, after government issue and, you know, whatever. But yeah, it's kind of nice to have this, you know. It's kind of a memento of those like tape trading.
That's cool.
Yeah, a bit of a story. But anyway, if you like Brazilian hardcore, then you're not an idiot. You'll like this record. You'll like this.
No,
record.
I totally remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
I might be an idiot.
I didn't hear that one.
You're an idiot. Be like, why not both? Yeah. So,
Sonoro, that compilation, Ataca Sonoro.
Yes, there's so much good Brazilian and Mexican and all sorts of raw hardcore from this era. But nice, and it wasn't expensive either, which is a bonus.
Yeah. Looks like it might be expensive because it's just so
I think
rare.
it is on the Discogs and stuff.
80s.
Yeah.
80s Brazilian, like, and it's never ever been repressed on vinyl, and it was never on CD either. So
wow,
only one pressing.
Only one record you got.
Yeah, you have it.
But it's on Devil Discos.
Yeah.
Which is one of the big labels, right?
For sure, yeah.
That's my fourth pick.
So now it's my fourth pick.
Stop making a fool of my age. You'll be old one day.
I'm right behind you.
You're right.
I totally remember 1987.
Mike, I gotta break in because you mentioned age. I'm doing a bonus pick on out of nowhere. Today's my buddy Graham's 60th birthday. He drew the original cover for the DRI Violent Pacification 7-inch.
Happy
that
birthday.
Didn't get to the band in time to get printed, so they used the other cover. But this was intended to be the actual cover.
It's a cool cover.
Wow.
Today's Graham's birthday. He's 60 years old, so cheers, dude.
Happy birthday, Graham.
Happy birthday.
Maybe that artwork will get used one day.
They did do some kind of reissue recently. I don't know if it was like a CD or a collection, but I saw it with that artwork on it, and you know, clearly things being what they were wasn't, you know, wasn't what he wanted. Like he wanted to see that back in the day, but like there are pictures of like Jeff Hanneman from Slayer with that sticker on his guitar, so it's like that's always like like I get to have my artwork on Jeff Hanneman's guitar. Like that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Nice. All right.
Excellent.
Nice. That's cool. All right, Jim. That's another one I've seen on many a list and just talked about, but
from Poland.
Poland, right? Yeah.
So I can't really I didn't have a chance to translate a lot of it. But this is excellent. I mean, I don't want to bring a record that's I say, oh, I hate this record, you know. This is an excellent record. Opposite of what I was talking about before with Eddie Ando. This more has like a noir feel to it. And a bit of a anarcho feel to it, but with some modern hardcore sensibility. And trauma, which means trauma, I guess in Polish, but it's on quality control,
hardcore or hardcore.
Yeah, quality control records UK. Yeah, UK. But this is an excellent record. The whole record smokes. You know, it's like it's progressive, but it's still rocking. You know, it doesn't drift off into something. it'll start off that way. I like I said, I can hear echoes of Rudimentary Peni and the Mob and Existence, but I can also hear like Spanish stuff like KGB or La Urs or Gurs, and I can hear it in there. This is a modern record, but it's a great record. I've played this a lot, and also I want to say it creeps into like a cool goth zone, maybe, but there's like this danceable part, but then it busts out into a hardcore groove, but not so alien from one another. It blends well.
The cover art definitely lends itself to like a goth post-punk, maybe even industrial kind of vibe. I like that a lot.
It looks a little bit like the first sound, kind of a little bit.
That's the back. The eyes, like the silent movie eyes, the dark eyes, and it's on a UK label, but at first I was like, well, maybe I got a German vibe off of it too, but I couldn't really come up with any German bands that I could compare it to. But like I said, it's a good blend. The hardcore parts blend well. It gets a little dreamy and dark, and then it's back into like moving fast. It's like, wow. Here we go. What do we got?
I was going to mention this actually, but I couldn't remember. It's Ola from Quality Control HQ is currently in jail for taking direct action against military contractors supplying Israel.
Oh, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to know. But this is my next pick. I don't have much more to say, but it's a very good record. I'd play this. I've been playing this a lot. I listen to it a lot.
Like Polish punk has always. A lot of Polish punk has always had that sort of dark, like post-punk element to it, like a lot of the older stuff too.
Well, they've been ravaged by war multiple times, so I think that's kind of just
getting stomped on for the last 100 years.
And reggae as well. Like back in the old days, Polish punk has a lot of reggae in it, which is a funny.
Well, you gotta be happy too.
Right. Let's liven the next.
Nastorovi. Look, I'm drinking Polish beer. Nastorovi.
I forgot why that is. There's a reason why that is, and I've forgotten what it is, but there's a reason why a lot of old Polish punk has like reggae in there. Maybe someone can let us know in the comments. I've kind of forgotten why, but
or maybe they got it on the radio.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. All right, Jordan, what's your next?
All right. So, garage rock band. I loved garage rock when its era. 2007, I liked 2000 to 2010 garage rock era that was pretty big and exploded a lot in the US. Whether it was in the California or if it was in New York, there was also bands that were popping up all over the place. This band took a little while. This is actually a 2-for-1er, but mostly I'm talking about one record. This band took a while with a lot of membership changes, but by their third record, they really hit their stride. And I love seeing this band play. I played with this band. I loved hanging out with these guys. Big party band. I think I was in an episode with Jim at one point when someone showed the Liquids record.
Oh yeah.
And we were talking about like the kind of that feel. And this band has that same kind of feel where it's kind of like it's very well played, but it's like very melodic, but has like kind of has like a feels like it's kind of might go over the edge a little bit, but it keeps itself all together. I'm talking about the Carbonas.
Nice.
What a fucking great fucking band. And this record kind of really, this is their, the first record was good. First LP, second LP was better. Then they put out a couple EPs with this lineup, and that's when they really started to shine. And that was the Blackout EP, which is one of their best fucking records. And then they followed it up with this LP, their third LP, and it has Gentleman Jesse in it, and fucking Greg King, who went on to be in GG King. It's just really fucking great. It's like listening to like early like GG records, you know what I mean? Like before he got like too shitty, but whatever. Where it's like Murder Junkies, and you're just like, it has that power, like that pop in it, but it's like still aggressive and kind of dangerous feeling to it too, and dirty, like dirty rock and roll punk. I fucking love the Carbonas. They party a lot. They kind of hit a little hard, but great dudes, great songs. There's 9 songs on this LP. This one came out on Goner Records. They basically just asked the Goner guys if they would put this record out, and the guy that did Goner was like, yeah. And then he gave him 9 songs, and every single fucking song rips on this. There's no bad. I mean, I'd rather have 9 songs on a record and be like 27 minutes and there's no fucking dead time at all, than to have like a 40-minute record where there's just like there's something in there that throws it off a little bit. This is just, it's power, it's pop, and it's killing you like song after song with like Phone Booth, Don't Know Why, I'm a Schizo, Hate You, Frustrate Me, Ass Vogel. It's just like, it's one after another. It's just hit. Carbonas. Self-titled record.
Awesome. I like the GG King stuff too.
Oh, it's great too. And then the second one is just
that's great. I have that,
This is their compilation record.
Yeah.
This is a little inconsistent, like most compilation records are, just because the C and D side are basically like them doing cover songs and different lineups, doing demos and things. But the first side of this has those fucking, those EPs before this record came out that are just as good as this record. And I would agree, garage punk, might be a small decipher for this band, because like they were able to play. They could play a punk show, a hardcore show. Like we played a show with them in Atlanta. Whoa!
Oh, Scoop! Man, he twisted Scoop. Oh no!
Look at
I've had that before. That's the first thing.
Oh, is he there? Hold on.
So also by Goner Records, came out a couple years ago. So this and that, Carbonas.
Nice. Another band I missed out on in real time that I've been sort of trying to catch up on.
These are the 2 I would recommend.
Okay. Yeah, those are great. I listen to those quite often.
They're such a great band. They play those No Way Fest too, where there's a lot of like back in the day when there was like more kind of that revival US hardcore, and then this band would come on.
Yeah,
and kill it, because it's just like
really different. Yeah,
because it kind of hits that sweet spot between like the Zero Boys being like that early Zero Boys, where it's like rock and roll punk, like just and great. It's melodic, you can sing along to it.
Now you take me back to the Liquids too. I feel that on that Liquids record. Poor Scoop. What's going on?
It's really fucked up.
Chaos 65. Nice. Yeah, I got to get around to the Carbonas. I'll get some at some point.
You got to get it.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's impossible not to enjoy.
I believe you.
I feel like I'm ascending up into like a fucking spacecraft right now.
Yeah, man.
Nice vibes.
Hey, Scoop, phone home.
I need the glare reducer up here,
Powder puff. Shiny nose.
Right. The Carbonas is pick number 4. Jordan's pick number 4. All right. Scoots. It's Captain Scoots.
Again, now for something completely different.
It's okay.
What is that?
I can't.
Is that the registrators from Japan? No,
this is called Bound and Gagged.
Ooh.
This is from 1980, Boston.
Oh, okay, there it is. Bound and Gagged.
Yeah. I apologize for this shitty camera, but it is what
Actually,
it is.
it's okay. If you get a little bit nearer, it's okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, pick it up.
So as you can probably tell based on the artwork, in 1980, we're talking about like new wave, kind of synth punk, art punk. Boston. This is on the Modern Method label, who put out the absolutely stellar Unsafe at Any Speed and Boston Not LA comps.
That's comp.
They put out The Freeze, lots of other, early Boston stuff.
I love that.
This is an interesting record. I bought this fairly recently, a couple months ago. I was on vacation, Portland, Maine. Saw this. I hadn't heard it. Quickly pulled it up on my phone so I could hear a couple sample tracks and got it for a good price. Was something I hadn't heard of before. All female. Just 4 tracks. It's a 12-inch EP. Again, yeah, it's in the new wave kind of synth kind of camp. Some no wave kind of leanings. Apparently, some of the members actually had a collaboration after this with some members of Teenage Jesus and Eight-Eyed Spy. I haven't heard that. It's called T Venus. Yeah, I don't know.
T Venus.
But this is good. It's kind of seasicky kind of guitars and squiggly synth lines, some bleeps and bloops. Not as like aggressive or abrasive or threatening as like the new wave or no wave stuff coming out of like New York City at the time. Like, Teenage Jesus, who I mentioned, like if you've heard that, this is a much tamer kind of variety of a similar product. At times almost has kind of like a cartoony or kind of like carnival kind of feel to it.
It sounds to me as if you're describing an egg punk band.
No, it's. I mean, this is like calling this punk is. It's marginally like in the kind of rock vein, but it's like it's not like verse chorus verse. It's I wouldn't go so far as to say egg punk. I'm certainly not like a huge fan of that style. This is more like, we heard a Devo demo and wanted to do the same thing, but it's definitely got some charm. And again, it's 4 songs, so it's like you're in and out before it has a chance to overstay its welcome, which is nice because this is also the kind of music where, maybe similar to, like early Butthole Surfers or Stick Metal Ray Guns. Like it's a little intentionally aggravating or off-putting. Like it's meant to be a little confrontational. I don't know. It's good. It's like Paul's in the chat is saying art wave. Yeah, it is quirky. It's all female. I don't know. It's an interesting record. Pretty obscure. I haven't really heard anybody talk about it before.
I haven't either.
Me neither.
But for the local connections and for the price, I said, hell, I'll give that a toss.
Cool.
And it's an enjoyable record. So if you guys see, I don't know how many of these landed outside of the Boston or New England area.
You had me at Seasick
Guitars. Bound and Gagged. This is their only release, 12-inch EP. They also have 2 songs on. There's a Modern Method comp called "Having a Wicked Good Time." There's 2 songs on there. I don't know. Pretty good stuff though.
Cool.
Seasick Guitars.
Seasick Guitars was
I'm gonna find it. I want to hear Seasick Guitars. That's a great description.
Yeah, check it out and let me know what you think. Jim, you I thought maybe would have heard it just with your New England kind of roots.
Yeah, I'm in New England, but I'm back down by what was that? New York or whatever that comp was. All that stuff. But no, I haven't seen that in Modern Method. Absolutely, I'll track that down. I bet you I could find it around here somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the cover is so unassuming.
For sure.
But you're right, though.
If you're not really digging that,
you don't know what that is.
Yeah, but time and place, as you described it, that era, that's definitely par for the course.
Yeah,
that type of art, so it would clue you in.
Cool.
Yeah, like that trip we take to Portland is like a serious like record hunting trip for me every year. So I'm putting a lot more effort, into looking at covers that I might not recognize right out of the gate. Otherwise, that's the kind of thing where I might have just flipped right by it.
Right.
I'm glad I did. I'm glad I checked it out.
my usual trip to West Mass. You find all kinds of stuff in West Mass.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have a vote on my last pick. What would you like? Would you like a new record that no one's showed yet, but is probably going to soon, or like an old record that miraculously no one has yet shown?
I think that's
Tough choice.
400% punk.
I would say the old record just because I also have a choice on a new record, an old record, and I wonder if it's the same fucking record.
If it is, it'll be a Christmas miracle.
The new one, that is, not the old one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was actually thinking that you might have the new one. So I've already the vote's meaningless because I've already decided.
Together and see if we're gonna do it. Do you want to flash it together?
No. Let's not do that because it might. I'm going to do the old one. I'm going to do the old one. And if you have the same one, I'll reveal mine at the same time.
I didn't get to vote.
There was no vote. It was just that. I've already decided.
Story of my life.
It was just a new sort of way of leaning into my next pick. It's like I don't know. UK 82, literally. Literally UK 82. Bristol record label. That's a giveaway right now. Leeds band from Leeds. It's funny because this label didn't put out many LPs. I'll tell you the other LPs they put out, and let me see if you can guess what the missing one is. A little quiz. Let us know in the comments as well. Join in, audience participation. Chaotic Discord live in New York. The Ejected, Spirit of Rebellion.
All right.
Undead, The Killing of Reality. Verucas, Bloodsuckers. Chaotic Discord, Fuck Religion, Fuck Politics. Chaos UK. We're missing one. What is it?
Oh,
with the city catalog number, like city 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Wow.
It's a tough question.
All I'm visualizing is that Vice Squad 7-inch, 12-inch.
Yeah, you know what? I thought Vice Squad I think Vice Squad did have an LP out on Riot City, maybe, but it has it's a different catalog number. There's only 8 with that City 1, City 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Wow. Is it the Crux Crash 12-inch?
Oh no, it's not that.
Oh, that's a nice pick though.
Good guess.
Yes, yeah, nice guess.
I'm of course talking about When the Punks Go marching in by
no rules.
By
no rule.
The abrasive wheels, man.
No rules. First rule is no rules.
Right, exactly. I mean, this, what a fucking ripper! Start to finish, 100%, classic of the era. It's the second wave of punk. Everything's ramped up a couple of levels. GBH have already put out a couple of records. Exploited already put out a couple of records. I know. This is for me, this is a textbook or dictionary definition of UK 82 for me. This and the Partisans. I know, it's going into the new, a little bit of a nod to the past. Hardcore punk with the hair, the studs, the spikes, the leather.
Classic.
Just, you can't. Many have tried, there's been many sort of street punk since these years, but nobody really has yet to sort of come close to these early old school UK records from the year. The production's fucking amazing as well. It's perfect production, just like the GBH records, and just fucking incredible. And as I was listening to it, I was like, okay, some of these songs, this is going into the future, this is the future of hardcore punk. And the other songs, hang on a minute, they've still got sort of one Dr. Martin boot sort of in the past. Sort of like that. And I was like, hang on a minute, and I got it. I this has probably been mentioned before by someone in a book or a blog or somewhere. I kind of found the missing link between like the old school and the new school, and it's kind of quite obvious once you hear it. Stiff Little Fingers.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you can tell that this band were probably maybe their biggest influence. They just sort of ramped up. It's like Stiff Little Fingers meets GBH, you know. It's like, yeah.
I've always thought of GBH when I've listened to them, but
you can, once you hear it, you're like, okay, yeah.
But it's like a micro guitar sound, that like detail.
Yes.
I think that's what you're talking about, because that song I mentioned, No Rule.
Yeah.
It's No Rules. It's like it starts off. It sounds like Stiff Little Fingers.
Yes.
that you mentioned.
There's a couple like that too, and the sort
very
of
intricate, a little bit of an intricate accent.
Yes, yeah, and the sort of the raspy, like hoarse vocals, and Stiff Little Fingers were kind of quite fast as well, you know, for like 78.
Yeah,
they were sort of one of the fastest.
In the early Chicago punk scene, Stiff Little Fingers is one of the biggest inspirations.
There you go.
And you know, some of that early effigy stuff like took a lot of that sound.
It's funny because I was playing, it's like, man, you know, I have all the early Stiff Little Fingers records, but I never put them out. I was like, I got to rectify that. I got to go listen to some Stiff Little Fingers. It's been a while since I listened to some Stiff Little Fingers, but great band. But to me, this is sort of up there. Classic.
Yeah,
top tier UK 82. There you go. Yeah.
5?
First rule, no rule. First rule,
no rule. First rule is no rule. First rule is no rule.
Burn them down. Burn them down. Vicious Circle is the track, though, man. The lead of track.
Oh, Vicious Circle. Whoa.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Yeah, as far as looking at, looking back, no one's talked about the Abrasive Wheels yet. It's a classic. Why not?
Sometimes there is the classics that could kind of miss.
There's
like,
so many, actually.
What else are you going to say about like a classic?
I know, it's like, what am I going to say about this? It's just like, sounds like Stiff Little Fingers. Well, let's make a little quiz. Can you guess what record it is? But yeah,
in retrospect.
A retrospect, yes.
Maybe 2025 for this podcast will be more like that kind of stuff juggled in.
There's so many of them. There's like thousands of them, So, all right, Jim.
Okay, this is a band, half London or part London, part Freiburg, Germany. Does that ring any bells?
Part London, part Freiburg.
It's new. It's newish. Newer project.
No, it's not what I was thinking.
It's on. What's this label? No Front Teeth Records out of the UK. I play it a lot. Trench Coat.
Oh, wow, that's the first.
Whoa!
Look at that.
It only hurts once, Mike. But
look at that.
This picture as you will. Chrome. Are you familiar with Chrome? San Francisco's Chrome meets like some straight up punk beats. And I think it's I'm pretty positive it's a one guy thing in a studio band. But they have a couple other releases, but this is in my opinion the best one, which is called you can't probably read it on the camera, Pulling the Plug on Humanity.
I mean, you got to do it,
but it's an excellent record. The distorted vocals like Chrome. That's what reminds me of Chrome. But it's kind of got a forward. Chrome kind of ventured into dance beats. This is going like in a punk direction, and it's raging. It's like this moving forward. It's moving forward.
Does it kind of have that sci-fi vibe that Chrome has?
Yes, absolutely. I was also gonna say like an MK Ultra kind of vibe, if you couldn't tell by this cat in the trench coat. But it feels like a psyop. It feels dark. It feels scary, which is probably this guy having fun. The artist behind it is Marco Palumbo, who also plays in Botox Rats. Illegal Leather, Stalin Video, and these are the two notable ones. The Gaggers, an Italian band. Have you heard the Gaggers?
I
You
have heard
talked about him on the show, didn't you, one time?
He's in the Gaggers, and he's also in I'll try to say this. My Italian's not so good. Sanguisuga, which means bloodsucker in Italian.
Mm.
And I love that record too. I have that record somewhere, but but I didn't even know he was in this project. I just kind of picked up on it, and but the artwork is by Vacant State, and the artwork through all this is another one of theirs. This is more like demos and stuff. But this stuff is great. It's but this is the best one, in my opinion. This is the best one, and it's really scary. Like I said, it's got that chrome vibe in it, and I can't say enough about it. I play it a lot. It gets stuck in my head, you know, and it's dark and fun. There's an uneasiness to it, but not repulsive.
It's a great looking record. I'd be very.
Oh, the graphics are stunning. Graphics are stunning.
I would buy that just for what it looks like.
The person who does, here's the back. It definitely has. Yeah. All right. Yeah. No front teeth. Yeah. This is great stuff. Thank you. Great fun stuff.
Nice.
I highly advise it.
Advice taken. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Chrome fan, so I will definitely be checking that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Scooch, we did a Chrome pick one time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Chrome. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah. Beautiful.
Pick
Beautiful.
Way to go.
My work here is done.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right. It's meal time. Woo!
Nice.
All right. Let's see if our.
Do you want to flash it first? I mean, I don't know.
Well, the thing is, if I do, then it's kind of spoilt it.
Well, then it spoils it. Yeah. So here's the thing: is I got a new record that came out in 2024 that I'm absolutely blown away that no one's shown it. But we've also kind of beaten it to death talking about the genre on both this episode and the last episode. So
is it Oi?
No.
Okay, then it's not my pick.
All right, and then I have a pick from my past from 2002 that resonates a lot. That has more like a Revolution Summer meets Wire aspect that I think is an overlooked band. So it's like an overlooked band or a band that everybody loves, but for some strange reason has never made it on the show, even though it's kind of been talked about around it.
Save that one for next time. Let's see the new one.
The new one?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's very democratic.
What the fuck?
Oh, okay.
This is literally one of the best records of the year.
I haven't got my copy yet. Otherwise, I would have shown it already.
That hasn't been shown on the show yet?
It has not been shown on the show. And Mike brought it up last time, and I was like, well, shit, he has to show this shit. No. So I waited for my fifth pick just to see if somebody would fucking play. Well,
I didn't even bother looking that up because I assumed like 10 people had shown that.
Should have done that.
All right, well. So anyway, this record is great. We've already described it in detail on So that's that record. Yes. Buy this record. It's amazing. 60s, like all-female band in France, Paris. It's great. Buy it. Not onto the other record. All right? So this record came out in 2002. This record came out in 2002. I feel like it's an overlooked record because I feel like it was before its time. I feel like if this record came out now, most people, a certain part of the punk community would love this record because it has a UK 1978 to 1980 vibe. Comstat Angels, kind of like a magazine kind of style, but it's also mixed with like the early emo DC Revolution Summer 85-86 sound. The band is from Chicago, though it's made up of mostly transplants from Chicago. I'm talking about Calvary. Outnumbered and outflanked. I'm sure you probably can't really see it because Calvary is written in silver ink on here.
I saw it when you flicked it there. I just saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a fucking amazing record. Now, two of the people in this band have been on this podcast, so I don't want to stroke them too much, but Matt Weeks is the singer guitar player that plays in this band, and then Jeff Rice is the drummer.
Yes.
So we were all in a band together, and that band broke up, and two separate bands formed right after that in Chicago with essentially a lot of the same members. One of them was playing more old school hardcore punk called Punch in the Face. The other one was Calvary. Calvary, three members of my old band, Dearborn SS, started this band, and it is a phenomenally well done record. It has like this UK post-punk sound, like I said, like of those bands of like Wire, Gang of Four, and then you mix in that like DC Summer, and just it's really a really great record. It's a personal record to me. I was a roadie for this band for a while. I also like saw the two members get in a fist fight in St. Louis that I had to break up, which was mostly my fault. But it's okay, you know, like, and you know, I've seen the bass player throw the guitar player's guitar across the practice space. I was in when this was recorded, I was in the house that it was recorded in, which is Greg Norman's house, drinking La Fin du Monde with the bass player, one of my close friends at the time. Just a really great record. Songs like Heart Murmur, Gala Affair. I mean, to the fact that this was recorded in a basement. Now, Greg Norman is somebody that has worked with Steve Albini and is an amazing recording artist in Chicago. But he recorded this in his basement, and it's a very amazing record. There's no bad song on it. And honestly, I feel in a way that each one of these members of this band, this is the peak of some of the music that they've produced. Not that they can't produce better music or whatever, but the fact that it all came together in this kind of chaotic way and they made a great record. Their 7-inch after this had Ebro drum on it because of that fight. Basically, drummer Ebro took over for Jeff. I won't go into that details, but it's good, but it's not as good and not as well recorded as this LP. Council Records, number 20, summer of 2002.
I think we need to petition Matthias to do a bit of a repress reissue. Does it?
No, he says he still has some.
Really?
Yeah, he says he still has. Because I asked him that same thing. I was like, "You're repressing all this stuff. Like, how could you not repress the Calvary record?" And I think it was in a pocket where there wasn't a lot of this kind of music. They toured with Yapakoto a lot, which was a more popular band from California at the time, but was much more in the emo hardcore scene. And though there's people that came from kind of the emo hardcore scene in Michigan that are in this band doesn't sound like an emo band. It's not an emo. It's not a hardcore. It's really like an interpretation of the 2000s of what a band would sound like from England. Now, they're not trying to sing in an English accent or anything, but there's this intricacy with the bass and the playing with the guitar and then the drums. And Jeff plays too fast on this record, which then makes it even better because like it just makes everything just go up a little bit of a notch. That kind of like just makes it more special than something that was like maybe a Wire kind of derivative type band.
All right, I'm gonna have to message Matthias and see if he's still got a copy in his under his bed or somewhere in the house.
Yeah, I mean, he has to. You should ask him for this record. It will.
I will. I'm going to. Yeah. Nice. All right, Scoots. Last pick of the show. What's it to be?
Wow, last pick. Episode 100. Hey, Mike, congratulations.
Yeah, 100, man.
100.
Oh, that is something.
It is something.
I thought you were nuts doing it every week.
I thought I'd make it to about 20 at most. Like,
cheers.
Yeah, can't stop now. There's no stopping.
All during COVID, it was a lot of fun being able to chat with people that when we weren't hanging out in person.
I kind of wish I'd done it like a little bit earlier. I kind of started it at a sort of not the tail end, but that's okay.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
I've got to thank Scoots again for designing the classic Analog Attack logo.
Oh yeah, nice.
Which I'm sure everyone has a T-shirt. Should I repress the T-shirt? Let us know in the comments. Anyone want a T-shirt?
Tie-dye.
Hey.
All right, Scoots.
All right, this is my last pick, and I really vacillated on this one a lot. Like I had 4 or 5 different last picks, and I couldn't decide. And then literally I was like shelving records from the last month today, and this was in the pile, and I said, nah, fuck it. I'm gonna do another switch right now. And this is what I'm coming up with.
Oh,
The Birthday Party.
Oh,
the birthday party. Wow.
This is the Mutiny EP, 12-inch EP, 1983. This is a band that's never been shown on the show before, which kind of blew my mind. Absolutely love this band. I think maybe a little divisive again in the punk community amongst our peers. It can get a little
Saucy.
drama clubby, maybe. To me though, this has always been a punk band. Like people will call it art rock or goth rock or whatever, and it is. But they've always had their feet in the punk world, and I think it's maybe because of the ferocity and the intensity of the music, where even though what you're listening to isn't what we would typically think of as punk, like it's got that absolute like punk intensity to it. This is a band I got into in college, just like playing like a greatest hits CD because that's what was available at the time. I've been lucky enough over the years to go and find out a bunch of their records. This one I just got I think like a month ago, local record show here. Pull this for a good price. And this is like some of my favorite stuff of theirs. Like this is like their last studio recording. This is like 83. So this is a 12-inch EP. And I think was actually released posthumously because they had broken up at some point in 83. 4 songs: Jennifer's Veil, Mutiny in Heaven, Swampland, Say a Spell. Like those 3 out of those 4 are like top 10 birthday party tracks for me. Just like a super intense, dangerous sounding band. Nick Cave obviously is the vocalist on this. And all his kind of predilections are in full display on this. The kind of Southern Gothic murder ballad kind of lyricism. The songs, you get a lot of religion, violence, sex, corruption. But the band is just really tight.
Yeah.
Really great production. Like I love like the rhythm section of this band. I love the guitar too, though. It's like really there's just a great band altogether. The bass, though, to me has always been like kind of like the linchpin of this band for me, like that like Titanic, like funeral bass, which goes so well with Nick Cave's voice. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think probably we've all heard this band. This material on here is it's a little more, I don't know if I want to say mature, but it's not as punky as like some of the earlier stuff. Sonny's Burning, Release the Bats, that kind of is a little more conventionally rock and roll. This is, again, if you made the claim that this was very kind of Broadway-esque or drama club-esque, you really wouldn't be wrong. But I don't know. To me, it's like it's eminently listenable. I mean, I have played this like 5 or 6 times, like in the last month that I've had it, and I've already heard these songs like ad infinitum throughout my life before now. Yeah, and really happy to find that locally at like a record fair for like a really cheap price, and it sounds great on vinyl.
That's my only problem with the birthday party is every time I find their records, they're usually pretty pricey.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like they're a band that
and most of it's probably because of how famous this,
Yeah. They're kind of an annoying band to try to track down their records because they've been pressed and repressed and repackaged so many times. Like they put together so many compilations. Okay. Like even this EP, they re-released it later with another 12-inch EP called The Bad Seed, and you can get that as like kind of one collection, which is really a nice collection.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, the Bad Seed also has some of their other later tracks. I really love some of those songs too. So that is actually a really nice collection. But it's like when you try to tease out what the actual discography of this band is and like when things were released, it can get really confusing and frankly kind of annoying. But I guess it's also a testament to like the legacy of the band that there is still like enough interest and enough commercial viability, I guess, that they can keep repressing and producing this stuff. From Australia, I didn't say that earlier. Like probably most people know that like they're a classic foundational.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kind of post-punk goth band. So probably most people do know they're from Australia. They started off as the Boys Next Door, like mid to late 70s. They transitioned over into the Birthday Party, and they actually shared some of the same songs at one point. This record also features Blixa Bargeld on guitar on the title track, who eventually became part of the Bad Seeds with Nick Cave.
Einstürzende Neubauten.
Yeah, exactly. This also this was the title of the documentary that came out last year, Mutiny in Heaven, about the Birthday Party, which if you guys haven't seen was absolutely fantastic.
I haven't seen it, no.
Yeah, highly recommended. Great footage. It's like all the like talking head footage in it is basically just a band. Like they're not bringing like music critics, they're not bringing in Dave Grohl,
Scotty and
yeah, all like the usual suspects. It's like it's
no Henry Rollins,
Rollins,
no Rollins, right? No Keith Morris.
No Keith Morris.
All respect to those guys, but it's like it's just
we've heard it.
All footage like from the day, and then when they're there'll be points where they might be like talking about like an anecdote that happened that they don't have video footage for. They created new animations to have something on the screen, and they're really good in like in the spirit of the band, I guess I would say. So really great. And to see it like in a theater with like just that music like booming out of like the theater PA was like the closest I'm ever going to get to seeing the Birthday Party live. Like to just be like sitting in my seat getting absolutely pummeled by that music was like just such a great experience. If you guys can see it, I definitely recommend it.
You saw it in the theater? You saw it in the theater?
Yeah, we had like a little local art theater that did like a one night showing like for the premiere like last year. So that was a great experience.
Sure.
Are you guys fans? Anybody else here?
You know what? I was sort of waiting to just chime in and say, embarrassingly, that I am not familiar with any Birthday Party like record. Like the one that we used to have was maybe Junkyard.
Yeah, I really love that one too.
And apart from that, and there's another, maybe I don't know if it's the same record, the one that has the song Deep in the Woods on it. I don't know if that's on Junkyard or another 12-inch.
That's on the Bad Seed 12-inch, I believe, and like it's been collected on some other compilations.
Apart from that, huge blind spot for me and the Bad Seeds and the guitar player.
Yeah, well, in retrospect, maybe you can find some.
I think so. I think I'm ready. I'm ready to dive in.
One of those things you missed.
Yeah.
And now you might have a different opinion on it.
Yeah. I'd like to get at the sort of
We've matured.
I'm at 57 years old. I'm now ready for the birthday.
No, but that's a band that's been around forever, man.
I didn't like him at the time very much, but it's the same. It's the same thing. It's something I could say all the time. I didn't like him when I was 20, but I'd probably like him now. So
Greg Sage's solo record. It'll catch up to you.
Yeah.
They're almost like an Australian version of the Flesh Eaters, I might say. As far as like the vibe goes, not so much the music, but like the vibe and like the aesthetic is very close, I think, to like the Flesh Eaters.
I like the Flesh Eaters. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. What's that song? The Wedding Dice. Flesh Eaters.
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, no. Flesh Eaters are really good. And you're right. That's a good comparison. It's on par for sure. But around the same time, that's the same like era.
Yeah.
All right. On that
Cheers.
note,
Hey, happy 100.
Happy 100.
Another 100.
But the birthday party is not over yet. 101 next week. Let me announce 101. You'll like this. You'll like this. Next Friday, January 10th, 10 p.m. Eastern, Ebro, Virumbralis, John Arens, +1. I'm waiting for a reply online. I hope the person who I want it to be can make it, because I believe we'll get the Charles Bronson lineup. Is that correct, Jordan?
Ooh.
That would be correct.
Okay. I'm talking about Jeff Jelen. Jeff, if you're watching, say yes.
Just do it,
Hurry up and say yes. So hopefully we'll have the original lineup, or the only lineup of.
No,
Charles
there was
Bronson.
another guitar player.
Okay.
Before.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's
it's
certainly
pretty much the most
classic,
famous of the
classic lineup of Charles Bronson, maybe, or like 2/3 of it plus Matthias or Jeff Rice. Let's look forward to that next week. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support. You've got 10 seconds to do the super chat. Don't do the super chat. Daniel's done the super chat. Daniel,
After hours time.
Stop doing the super chat. You don't have to do the super chat. I'm thankful, but you don't have to do the super chat. But, all right. Until next time, everyone. Cheers for tuning in. Until next time, stay healthy and stay clean.